We know that many murderers are narcissistic, but few push it in the face of investigators as much as today's character. Similarly, there are very few killers that come across like they are MacGyver and James Bond rolled into one. He has several names in the media, and his crimes are notorious. The girl in the shipping container and the Superbike murders are just two of the stories related to the man that often goes by the moniker the Facebook review killer. But really, he's just a Class A knobhead. This is the tragic yet sometimes unintentionally hilarious story of the tosspot that is Todd Kohlhepp. And this is Murder of Crows. The nature versus nurture argument has rumbled for decades, especially in the context of serial killers. Are serial killers born or are they made? For what it's worth, I think it's a combination of the two. Genetics can program some aspects of behaviour, or potential for certain behaviours, but for that potential to grow and create an individual with the traits that would make a killer. The reason we hear so much about the traumatic childhoods of killers is they are precisely the conditions that will reinforce these genetic possibilities, meaning that nature and nurture both input into moulding an individual with the traits to be a murderous bastard. With that in mind, let's look at the early years of today's antagonist, Todd Kohlhepp. Todd Christopher Sampsell was born on March the 7th, 1971. He was born in Florida but raised in Georgia and South Carolina. His parents divorced when he was just 2, and his mother jumped into another relationship, marrying again just a year after her divorce. As he grew, Todd would have a fractious and abusive relationship with his stepfather. But, and this may be genetically ordained given the very early age that signs began showing, he was extremely antisocial and noticeably aggressive and destructive towards his peers, with signs even being seen as early as when the young boy was in nursery school. This manner followed him through his school life, and he was also cruel to animals. McDonald triad, anyone? With him shooting a dog with a BB gun and killing a goldfish using bleach, as you do. At the age of just 9, he started counselling, where he was described as being an explosive character and being obsessed with sex. 9 years old. Christ on a bike. His inability to get along with his peers actually saw him as an inpatient in a Georgia psychiatric hospital for over 3 months during his childhood. Lovely. At the age of 12, alongside the separation of his mother and stepfather, Todd is sent to live with his biological father in Arizona. But given his previous and later paternal attempts, maybe sperm donor may be a better title for him. It seems his father, whose surname Todd took at this time, making him Todd Kohlhepp, taught him to make bombs and blow things up, and very little else. While Todd was working a series of part-time jobs, his father would drift in and out of his life as he took up with a string of different girlfriends. If this wasn't bad enough, despite him being desperate to return to live with his mother, she would continually make excuses for him to stay where he was in Arizona. So 2 different kinds of abandonment at the same time. I wonder if this story will end well. Spoiler alert! It really won't. But when this little treasure was 15, things took a much more extreme turn in the life of our antisocial cherub. On 25th of November 1986, Todd Kohlhepp sneaked a gun into the home of 14-year-old Christy Granado, where she was babysitting her younger siblings. Rather than try to be a big man and show off that he had a gun, Kohlhepp used the gun to kidnap the terrified girl and took her to his house, where he bound her, taped up her mouth and raped her. His antisocial nature and obsession with sex had come together in a violent and frightening assault. As he walked her home after the assault, ever the gentleman, he threatened to kill her siblings if she told anyone. Despite his threats, he was arrested soon after the attack. He was charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, and committing a dangerous crime against children. He was tried as an adult due to the nature of his crime, and while he was only convicted for kidnapping after pleading guilty to that particular charge, with the other charges having been dropped before the trial, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, which he would serve in an adult facility. His time in prison would mark a significant change in Kohlhepp. A psychological assessment would see him diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and determined to have an average IQ of around 118, along with the psychologist's stark warning that his sexual leanings could be a major risk in the future. But the major change in Kohlhepp came in how he was able to wear a mask, allowing him to be friendly with others and adjust that mask to suit whomever he was talking to. This would appear to have been around the age of 20, when Kohlhepp would have been in prison for around 5 years. Since during his imprisonment, Kohlhepp was initially cited for violations that included violent behaviour while in prison. After turning 20, he had no other records of disobedience. The outsider was becoming a manipulative people pleaser, a dangerous state for a man with underlying antisocial ways and sexual deviancy. While in prison, he got a bachelor's degree in computer science, and he would remain in prison until 2001, when he was released at the age of 30. And to all appearances, he came out of prison a changed man. Wanting to be near his mother, he resettled in South Carolina. After a stint as a graphic designer for a company in Spartanburg, he followed up his computer science degree by studying for a further degree in business administration and marketing, ultimately achieving that degree from the University of South Carolina upstate. In 2006, he got a real estate license, albeit by lying about his status as a sex offender in applying for it. But on the flip side, he was pretty successful as a realtor, resulting in him running a company with a dozen other agents working beneath him. He was considered one of the top-selling agents in the Carolina region. Clearly, the mask that he had developed in prison was fitting him well and was definitely suiting his needs. And he was financially successful. He got a private pilot's license and several properties out of the state. As a measure of his success, Kohlhepp was able to purchase nearly 100 acres or 40 hectares of land from the community of Moore for over $300,000, and then further invested $80,000 by placing a fence around the entire property. Oh, Todd, have you got something to hide? But despite his mask being very successful, it would at times during this successful period of his life slip a little, giving a glimpse of the aggressive sexual deviant that lay beneath the surface. He would often make inappropriate sexual innuendos, brag about guns that he owned, get angry and verbally aggressive with some colleagues and even some competitors, at the same time often being derogatory and superior. Sometimes it would extend further still, such as times where Kohlhepp would openly watch porn at work. At a diner he frequented, he would make the female staff so uncomfortable that after some time of going there, the male cook would have to leave the kitchen to come out to take his order because the female workers refused to go near him. But other than being a bit creepy and maybe oversexed, Kohlhepp, to all extents and purposes, seemed to have put his darkest ways behind him. The key word there being seemed. It wouldn't be until 2016 that Kohlhepp's seedy underbelly began to be exposed. A young couple, Kayla Brown, who was 30, and Charlie Carver, who was 32, seemed to go missing on or around the 31st of August that year. Appointments were missed, texts were going unanswered, and friends had no idea of their whereabouts. All of this culminated in Carver's mother filing a missing persons report, with a friend of the couple named Miller also filing a report. Their apartment was visited by police, and it seemed undisturbed, although the couple's dog was distressed and dehydrated when the police visited on September the 5th. Kayla's car, a black Chevy, was still at the apartment, but Charlie's white Pontiac was missing. Time passed with no further news of the couple, until at the end of September, Charlie's Facebook account, which he rarely ever used even at the best of times, began posting cryptic and out-of-character status updates, including that he and Kayla had gotten married, that they were safe, and that no one needed to look for them. Around the same time, the couple's cell phones were being monitored, and both seemed to be pinging in the location of Kohlhepp's sprawling rural property. Of course, this in and of itself meant little other than a potential location for the couple. It was when the police actually went to check the property that the phones were pinging from that the shit well and truly hit the fan. And Kohlhepp's good character since leaving prison would be shown to be just a carefully constructed facade. Once at the property on November the 3rd, 2016, they immediately heard a loud banging coming from an area where there were some shipping containers. The noise seemed to be coming from one particular container, one that was fitted with a very secure padlock. When the padlock was removed and the container was opened, Inside, they found a haggard but lucid Kayla Brown chained in the container by her neck and by her ankle, and she could begin to give them an account of what had happened.
Yes. Pull that one first. All right, let them get ready. Y'all ready? Come on, guys. Right. Just jammed in here. Give me that crowbar back. Where's that? Get that big crowbar. Right here. John. Put it right here. Yeah, behind there. Watch out. Y'all move. I got it. Watch out, boss.
Hey, Joey.
Sheriff's officer.
Sheriff's officer.
What?
Grab that
Back up there.
Just one. Are you okay?
Grab what? Go.
Do you have any weapons? Coming through, okay?
What's your name? What's your name, man?
Lauren.
Gotcha. All right. Just a girl. Just a girl. How are you, honey? This is our best. He's a paramedic.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get you out of there. Okay.
Just hang loose for me.
Anybody got it? I need a handcuff key. Handcuff key. I got it right here.
Hold up. Y'all slide back.
Hold on. He's got a light. We got to let him take photographs. Randy, let me see your light, Randy. You can put your hand down, sweetheart. You're okay. We're here. Okay.
Yes, sir. Just sit back for me.
Light on or off?
You're fine. We'll get the rest of it here. Let's get her out of here.
We're getting bolt cutters, honey. Don't. You got pictures of the cuffs?
No, hold on.
Bolt cutters.
It's both feet.
Just one.
Let me
It's
see.
attached to a chain from the wall,
Okay.
and my neck's attached to the wall up here.
Okay. All right. We're gonna get you out, sweetheart. Okay.
You got a handcuff here.
I got one's in my car. I got one's under my car. Gloves on when I did that.
No big deal.
Bolt cutter.
No big deal.
Just hit the chain right there, loose.
Hold it up. Yeah.
Just right there at her hand, Brandon. We'll get it off.
We'll get it off here. Cut it right here.
Do you know where your buddy is?
Charlie,
Yes.
he shot him.
He shot him.
Who did? Who's?
Todd Kohlhepp shot Charlie Carver 3 times in the chest, wrapped him in a blue tarp, put him in the bucket of the tractor, locked me down here, and I never seen him again.
Okay.
He says he's dead and buried. He says there's several bodies dead and buried out here, and he says that the dogs will be ruined if they go looking because there's red pepper.
We're gonna step you out, sweet. Because there's what?
Red pepper.
Okay. Tell the dog people that.
He says
No,
there's pepper everywhere around the car. The car's supposedly a ravine. I was there in the building. My ankles were cuffed, my hands were cuffed behind my back, and I had a chain around my neck. It's really even moved the first week or so I was there.
What did Todd do while you were there?
We would get there between 1 and 3 o'clock every day, take me up to the main building, feed me, make me do whatever he wanted sexually, and then he'd put me back in the building. And then he would always come back between 5 and 7, take me back up to the building, feed me again. Most of the time, do whatever, get whatever out of me he wanted sexually again. And I refused to do anything that he wanted. If I said no, he didn't force himself on me because he said he didn't believe in rape, but he made it very well known why I was there, and if I wasn't useful, that I wouldn't need to be kept any longer, and that he would shoot me.
Did he ever tell you how many people he's killed out there?
Story-wise, he's told me about 4. He also told me that he walked into, a few years back, that he walked into a bike shop at Anderson and shot 4 people and left, and they never found out who did it. He liked to brag that he was a serial killer and a mass murderer. He said he was going to kill more people because he had dreams of his body count being in 3 digits. He said right now it was still high 2 digits. He said if I was a good girl, he'd teach me how to kill and I could be his partner. He said he used to kill people for the government. His
This dramatic rescue was the first step in Kohlhepp's downfall. As the rescue was happening, simultaneously Kohlhepp was being spoken to by officers. And in real time they were contacted by colleagues and informed of what had been found on the property and of the rescue on Kohlhepp's property. And the police were able to inform Kohlhepp in real time of the rescue and of what they had found, and Kohlhepp's previously inflated demeanour immediately changed.
Here, all right? My sergeant served a search warrant on your property. Okay? We have Kayla.
Excuse me?
We have Kayla in your property. She was locked in a container. Okay? She has told us that you shot and killed Charlie. Okay? So at this time, I'm going to need you to stand up and put your hands behind your back.
He's already here.
He's already killed. Okay. You're under arrest right now for kidnapping. All right? They're continue to search your property. They're going to continue. They got cadaver dogs down there. Okay? If you want to help yourself, tell me where Charlie's at so we can go find his body. That's pretty much where we're at right now.
Okay.
Do you want to help yourself and tell me where the body's at so we can go recover Charlie's body?
No, sir.
You don't want to?
No, sir.
Okay. Why'd you shoot him?
I didn't shoot anybody, sir.
Okay, why'd you lock her in a container in your property?
I was talking about.
She's on your property right now, locked in a container. They just got her out of they called it a specific
Shipping
name.
container.
Connex box. She was locked in a container in a Connex box. They got her. We have investigators. We have like 20 investigators on your property right now.
Okay.
And they have found her in the Connex box. So she never left your property.
Okay.
Okay? You locked her in the Connex box, and she has told investigators that you shot and killed Charlie. Okay? So I'm trying to give you an opportunity to help yourself and help us help you find this body. Because she's saying Charlie's body, you buried Charlie's body on that property.
No, sir.
So you're saying you didn't lock her up, you didn't put her in the Connex box or anything?
No, sir. I'm going to need an attorney.
Probably a good thing. Go ahead and put him in the back of your car.
Sir.
Come on, bud.
Yes, sir. I will.
Okay.
I'm not resisting.
Okay, just stand up for me.
Will you?
Stand up for me.
Yes, sir.
Come here, Taz. You can try to put her in the box.
But from there, rather than damage limitation, Kohlhepp began to use the platform to pretty much show off about his history of killing, especially the so-called superbike murders, where he had killed 4 people in a motorbike store stroke garage in 2003. The victims there were Chris Sherbert, 26 years old, Brian Lucas, 30 years old, Beverly Guy, 52 years old, and Scott Ponder, who was 30 years old. It was a terrible killing spree. But to hear Kohlhepp tell it, he was fucking G.I. Joe with a kung fu grip. The reason for the killings was identified as the staff at the shop taking the piss out of Kohlhepp for not being able to ride the overpowered motorbike that he had bought from the shop, and them not giving him a refund since the bike was not malfunctioning. It was just that Kohlhepp himself was inept and incompetent. These cases had gone unsolved until Kohlhepp ultimately confessed in 2016.
She got thrown into it. She wasn't a primary target. be up late tonight.
Was not a primary target.
She was not.
Okay, then what happened?
I was sitting on a black Kawasaki Katana, 600 I believe. It's a crap bike. But I was sitting on it, and...
It was a what now?
Black Kawasaki Katana, 600.
Okay.
Told him I would take it. At which point the mechanic took the bike to the back to prep it. Shot the mechanic twice. Downward angle.
Nice shot. Say it again. At a downward angle.
Downward angle. He was beneath me. He was down, crouched down on this side of the bike. Bike was here. I'm on this side. So I had to lean over the bike, and I believe it was two shots. Keep going, brother. It may have been two, it may have been three, but it definitely was two. At a downward angle.
You shot the mechanic twice at a downward angle.
The reason why you didn't get any fingerprints.
Okay. Hold on, I'm around. The reason why you didn't get any fingerprints
is on the door. I use my knuckles instead of my hand to open the door. And the reason you have no prints on any of the shell casings is I wear 2 pairs of gloves when loading every firearm, even in practice.
Okay.
Even my practice ammo doesn't get fingerprints.
Okay.
At that time, all 3,
And that
manager, owner, and the mom,
the manager, owner, and the mom
had heard the gunshots, obviously,
were all
standing there.
standing there. Now, would you say they heard?
They had heard the gunshots in the back and were coming this way to figure out what had happened. Mom was the closest, and
Mom was the closest.
And I shot her 2 to 3 times in the chest. Not my best work. She fell. The the owner and the manager ran for the door. Took off.
Okay, hold on. The
At
owner.
range, they should have ran to me, not away. They were way too close. When I came around that door, it was boom, 3 people right there.
Okay, so then what happened? They ran to the door.
They ran to the door. In the process of that, I popped a few rounds, popped one, I don't know which one was which.
In
the process. And he crumpled in the door.
He crumpled in the door. Okay.
Did a tactical reload.
I did a tactical reload.
And dropped the other one. Before he got out the door.
Kayla Brown and Charlie Carver had been lured to Kohlhepp's property by the promise of work cleaning and clearing parts of the property. And when they arrived, Charlie Carver had been immediately shot, while Kayla was threatened and coerced into the container, where she was kept as a sex slave. The same ruse had been used on a couple previously. Megan Coxey, who was 25, and her husband Johnny Coxey, who was 29, had answered an ad offering work, and both were ultimately shot in late 2015 by Todd Kohlhepp. The bodies of Megan, Johnny, and also Charlie Carver were found buried on Kohlhepp's property in the investigation that followed. So in all, Todd Kohlhepp had killed 7 people, and 2 people, if you include his teenage victim from 1986, survived despite being raped and traumatized for life by Kohlhepp's selfishness. As part of the investigation process, the police also looked into Todd Kohlhepp's online activity. And this was where they unearthed some Amazon reviews he posted, which, with hindsight, are terrifyingly ominous. And it's through these that Kohlhepp is sometimes referred to as the Amazon reviews killer. I guess because arrogant fuckwit killer makes tabloid headlines tricky by reason of profanity. As things progressed towards trial, Kohlhepp continued to make grandiose claims of further victims, while he was also looked at for a series of unsolved murders. But it's likely, although not certain, that he was just trying to increase his notoriety, retain a level of control from which he could negotiate, and further inflate his own ego, if the latter were even possible. There was no direct evidence linking him to any murders other than the 7 he had confessed to, as well as the kidnapping, sexual assault and confinement of Kayla Brown. On May the 26th, 2017, Kohlhepp pleaded guilty to 7 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of criminal sexual assault, in a plea deal that would see him avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, and rightly fucking so. In August of 2020, what remained of Kohlhepp's belongings following the collapse of his real estate company and the seizing of his assets, the remaining belongings were auctioned off, with the proceeds being donated to the victims' families. So with this prick safely incarcerated, our attention turns to the victims of this particular cockwomble. 7 innocent people had their lives snuffed out far too soon, while 2 others' lives were irreparably damaged through the traumatic experiences that had been forced upon them. I started this episode by asking about nature or nurture in the creation of a killer, and that debate will continue to rumble on. But for the victims, it doesn't matter where that evil has come from, only that it was forced upon them, unwelcome, unbidden, and unforgivable. I hope that the spirits of those murdered are now flying free in peace and love, and that the surviving victims have found the strength to begin to heal from a trauma that was forced upon them. This video is dedicated to those unfortunate enough to cross paths with the unmasked version of Todd Kohlhepp, and their hurt is felt to this very day. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. I'm Steve, and I'll see you when I see you.